today we're going to be talking about my top tips for the birthing partner. How you can learn to go from nervous, anxious, maybe unfamiliar, maybe unsure of yourself, and how you can advocate for the birthing person when it comes to meeting your little baby, to confident, assured, empowered, and ready to support the birthing person when it comes to D-Day. So if this is the first time that you've been here, welcome. Make sure and check out some of the other videos that I have relating to preparing for birth. My name is Kitty. I am a registered general nurse. I'm also a birth and postpartum doula, antenatal educator, hypnobirthing instructor, and a lactation consultant, as well as mama to 3 little people. And I'm so ready to teach you my top tips. This is going to be a 2-part series, so make sure and stay tuned for both part 1 and part 2. And let's dive. Next tip then is to familiarize yourself with the birthing person's birth preferences. Now, you may have already done this, and this might be something that you don't even need to consider if you've taken a birthing course together, but equally, it would be worthwhile sitting down, maybe writing them out, maybe making those birth preferences together so that you can understand what exactly that means. If you need to have conversations in the moment where maybe there have been some interventions that have been offered to you, or maybe there have been concerns about baby or mum, so that you can understand what the preferences of the birthing person were, so that you can then go ahead and advocate for them so that they can stay in that birth bubble. So in this scenario, it might be a case of downloading a visual birth preferences toolkit, which I will link my own one down below, or maybe booking a call with a doula to go through some of those options to understand better what your birth preferences can look like, what feels good to you, what doesn't feel good to you, and then what you understand them to look like, and how advocating for the birthing person in that moment can look for you. Now, a really good birth course will teach you some of this. I cover it in my Complete Empowered Birth course, but a lot of courses don't, and certainly the hospital wouldn't necessarily do this. So making sure that you have that conversation before you reach the end of your pregnancy can be a really empowering one, because it can mean that you feel more like a team, but also for the birthing person, knowing, I know this firsthand, knowing that your birthing partner knows what your wants and desires and needs are and is happy and confident in advocating for you in that space means that you can just stay in that birth bubble and not have to leave. So really important, have the conversation about your birthing prep. My next tip is a really practical one, and that is to remind mama to eat, because we need fuel for our bodies, we need fuel for our uterus to contract and relax, to encourage our baby to be born. We want to be drinking, so hydrating. I will leave my favorite Labor Aid cocktail down below, but it's a nice combination of calcium, magnesium, salts to help replenish and really rehydrate your cells, and also to rest. So in between contractions, to just completely mama be able to drop her body down, and the birthing partner can be able to do this too. You're thinking about the connection between the jaw and the pelvic floor, melting your shoulders away from your ears, and really capitalizing on that nice break that you get in between contractions. So if that means adopting a position that you can then just totally relax your body in between, if it's being able to lay your head down, if it's maybe side lying, if it's resting over the bowl, capitalizing on those little rest breaks can be really important, and making sure that as the birthing partner you're also minding yourself in that, which we'll touch on in a second. But reminding mama to eat, to drink, to rest, and the final one is to pee, so to go to the bathroom nice and regularly. The reason for that is because your bladder is in such close proximity to your baby's head as it navigates the pelvis. A full bladder will stop baby's head from descending, so going to the toilet nice and frequently will really aid in their descent and in labor. So my next tip then is to protect the birth space. So I love to refer to the birth support person as the protector of the cave. So back in ancient caveman times, oftentimes we would find somewhere safe and cozy and warm and quiet to birth our babies. And the birthing support person, or the partner or husband, would stand outside that cave and make sure that no wild animals came in, so that the birthing person could be, oftentimes supported by mothers of the community, grandmothers, to birth their baby safely and calmly. So as the protector of the cave, I want you to be thinking about what you can do to create that cave-like environment. So that might be looking at things like lighting. Maybe we could turn down the bright, harsh hospital lights and turn a little light into the corner, get some tea lights going, get some little LED fairy lights going to really kind of tone down and get the melatonin boosted. You might want to be looking at sounds. So maybe Mama wanted to listen to her hypnobirthing tracks, so making sure that her headphones are there and charged and ready for her to access, or maybe playing them on some speakers, making sure that you can access whatever music she had planned on listening to as she was labouring. Then you're looking at smells. Can we remove ourselves from that harsh hospital environment, the clinical smell? If you're birthing in a hospital environment, can we bring something from home? Maybe it's her dressing gown, maybe it's your favorite shirt, maybe it's a pillow or a blanket from home, maybe it's aromatherapy oils that she's really been enjoying diffusing at home. Making sure that you're bringing all of those things into the environment can all of a sudden change that from a clinical, harsh, bright lights hospital environment into a more homely, more cave-like, think birth bubble environment. So as the support person, you're thinking protector of the birthing cave. And last but not least, we want to be looking at how we can support you. Yes, you. There's a fine line and a balance between making sure that this day is all about the birthing person and making sure they feel truly like a goddess in labour, and making sure that you're minding yourself. Because if you are not well fueled, well hydrated, and well rested, you are not going to be able to support them to your fullest capacity. So coming back to the basics, every time the birthing person goes to take a sip of water, you take a sip of water too. Making sure that you get some decent fuel in you. So if that means putting a granola bar into your pocket and taking a moment to just hop out and munch on that, if it means making sure that once labour actually begins, that you have a really good meal inside you, because low blood sugar levels mean that you will not have the focus, the capacity, the energy to continue to give that hands-on and spiritual, in-person, mindful support. So making sure you're eating enough. The other thing then would be looking at, toilet breaks, but also if you're having a moment where you're maybe getting a little bit stressed, if are some decisions that maybe need to be made around your care, the birthing person's care, and you need to advocate for them in that space, or maybe you are just getting worried about the direction that the birthing process is taking, and you know that as the protector of that cave, your job is to be the grounding force for the birthing person and to bring your calm to the room, making sure that you have those fallback methods for however you manage stress outside of the birthing space, whether that is taking a few deep breaths, whether that is using your own mindfulness techniques that maybe you've been practicing with your hypnobirthing course. Maybe it's going outside and calling your best friend or your mom or someone who has experience in this area, who's going to be able to ground you and calm you and encourage you to go back into the room with that sense of peace and calm, and that you can then bring into the birth space. Maybe it's going outside and doing a bit of grounding, taking your shoes off, finding some grass somewhere and just standing and just taking a few breaths and taking a moment. Maybe it's touching base with your doula. If you have either a virtual doula or ideally an in-person doula, it means that you can switch out with one another, that you can support each other in terms of making sure that you've got like a shift going on, that you can both be energized and ready to support the birthing person in that phase, because particularly for your first baby or for an induction process, it can be a really long time before you actually get to meet your little one. So supporting yourself in those ways means that you can be the best birth supporter that you can be. So coming back to the basics, look at your stress management strategies, look at the ways that you can address your hydration, your toilet breaks, your fuel, and resting in between those surges just in the same way as the birthing person does. So having a pillow behind you that you can then lean back on. If you are doing hip squeezes or counter pressure, that you are down on hands and knees, or that you have a ball or a stool or something that you can sit on as well, to make sure that you're getting as much rest as you possibly can. And I would encourage all partners, as a bonus tip, that in early labour to get back into bed. The best thing that you can do to encourage your labour to progress is to optimise your hormones, to hack your hormones for birth. And that means that everything is at an all-time high. So we want to be getting back into bed, cuddling, snuggling, resting our bodies as much as possible. Getting up and like squatting and lunging and trying to do all these active things when your body still has a little bit of processing to do, or it's not going to do you any favours except tire you both both out. So get back into bed, watch your favourite movie together, watch something that's going to make you giggle or something romantic, get cozy with it, get sexy with it, kiss, cuddle, orgasm if you feel in the mood for it. All of those things will help move your labour along and give you a really nice start and boost to help it progress beautifully from here on out. I hope you found this helpful, and I will make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. I hope you found that helpful. Make sure and hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.